finding it a real blessing and a pleasure to be here with you today. I'm going to give just a little introduction to the video as the screen comes down. Last spring, on a day off with my sister, we were driving down Fremont, and she told me how often she had loved to see Holy Family Church, that it appeared to be so beautiful, but I discovered she'd never been inside, so I suggested we make a visit. When we came into the vestibule, first thing she noticed were the bins that you pull out for your giving bank, food for the poor. And she went over to the racks and she started pulling out the pamphlets saying, "Oh, Tim, you've got to get something like this. It's really well done. This is so nice." And we came in and I showed her the altar, the pictures of Haiti. I told her what I knew about your relationship through the years there, as well as with Dolores Mission School and Parish in East Los Angeles. I told her that years ago, I came to visit Msgr. Connolly in the rectory. And I got up to the front door and it was just wide open. You just walk right in. And there on the counter, I saw 4 baskets of flowers, each with a card. And when I inquired, they said, "Oh, well, those are going out today to the sick. People who are at home, homebound, or going into the hospital, they all receive a basket of flowers from their parish." So if my sister were here with me, she would certainly agree that you have studied the gospel, that it has taken root, that you have certainly become and are a light to the world. In addition to all these charitable things you've done, many more that I'm not probably aware of, you've been helping Together in Mission for over 20 years. You have a whopping $149,000 goal this year. I'm here to tell you thank you. I've been in 3 parishes that received Together in Mission money. And the present one, St. Patrick's, is a church that was established in 1906, but went down in a 71 earthquake. And for 35 years, the people were in a little hall. And finally, Msgr. Connolly's great friend, Msgr. Torgerson, floated the idea that perhaps all the parishes in that area, in the spirit of Together in Mission, could gather together, take up a collection to help build a church. They did that, and in 2007, the church was opened. And since then, each year, we've received from Together in Mission $100,000 to help us pay off the last few $1 million of the debt. And we think that by the end of this year, we'll have it completely done. So you'll see a little bit in the video right now about that church. Hello, my name is Father Tim Dyer. I'm pastor of St. Patrick's Church in Los Angeles on the corner of Central and Jefferson. The church was founded in 1906, and in those days, the majority of the Catholics living here were immigrants from Italy and Ireland. The 50s saw an influx of African Americans, and the entire parish was changed dramatically when the Latino influx began in the 80s. It is a constant need that we have to be grateful and to tell you that it makes all the difference in the world. The kinds of programs we have in this parish, we have a Christian family movement and a group called Matrimonios, married couples, who try to promote in a very clear, particular way the goal we have for all of our families, and that is to form a domestic church where people live out their Catholic Christian lives in these neighborhoods from their homes. In the previous parishes where I served, St. Columcille and Nativity, there is no question that over the course of my 15 years as pastor in those 2 parishes, neither of the Catholic schools would have survived without Together in Mission. I always used to say that one semester without Together in Mission would be the semester we would close the doors. That was literally true. And both of those schools to this day have nearly capacity enrollment, 315 in one of the schools, 290 in the other. And children's education in the schools in these areas where Together in Mission goes is tremendous advantage for life, for those kids and their families. In 1971, the brick Gothic church that was the original St. Patrick's went down in an earthquake. And for 35 years, the people had multiple masses every Sunday in a hall that seats about 300 people. In 2007, this present church was dedicated, and in great part because of Together in Mission. The place where people had to worship for 35 years was terribly inadequate because of the size. There's a great number of people here. We have 5 masses now on Sunday, and they are pretty much full, and there's standing room at 3 of the masses. Seating here is 850. We are presently involved in reaching out to people who are immigrants, mostly from Mexico, some from El Salvador, and attempting to give them a sense of community in this new place they have been living for, some of them a generation and some of them just a few years. Presently, our religious education program for children is centered around the 2-year catechesis for sacraments of reconciliation and Eucharist. We have 800 children in that program. They have 3 sessions on Sundays. At the end of their class, they come to Mass. Probably baptize about 10 children a week. We are most focused on families, helping people in their marriages with their children, and creating in people's mind an understanding that their homes are the site of the domestic church. And this church on Sunday, which fills up, becomes the place where they are nourished and fed and then return home as pastors of their own children to live out their Catholic life in their homes. So we are grateful, and it's my opportunity and my responsibility, I think, to go to parishes, to try to put a face on the collection and assure you that the money is really, for all these years, doing wonderful things for the families and the children of these neighborhoods. My coach, my mentor. Words he said at the beginning are really true. You are really bonded, unseen, unbeknownst to most of you, with this parish that I am living in now, St. Patrick's. You've helped build the church. At the end of this year, we'll go off Together in Mission as a recipient because of the help given all these years, and you've helped them become more independent. And I've gone around preaching Together in Mission now for about 15 years to say thank you to parishes. Never has there been a video group come and do this kind of remarkable work. And all morning long, I keep discovering more things that are truly remarkable about this Holy Family community. Unbeknownst to you, I do brag about your former pastor, as well as your pastoral life director now, and hold up this parish as a real, as the gospel says, a light to others, a model to be emulated by other parishes. And now I find at this Mass that you have a live feed to the sick and the shut-in. and I'm just kind of overwhelmed. 35 of my priestly years, I've been either in East Los Angeles or South Central, and I've come to the conclusion that the poor who are there are my teachers, and that it is not so much what you and I can do for the poor, but what the poor can do for you and me. St. Luke, in his gospel, probably preserves the original words of Jesus. Jesus uses the second person plural. He's looking right at the poor, and he says, "Blessed are you, the kingdom of heaven is yours." He doesn't say it will be yours. It is yours now. It is your inheritance. It is a guarantee. Matthew, as a teacher, modifies the words not to water them down, but to say to us, "And you are blessed like the poor if you are poor in spirit as they are." To be poor in spirit means that we, like the poor, discover that there is no one or nothing upon whom we can depend entirely except God. And that's what the poor continue to teach us. In this society we live in, the poor are often stereotyped. You hear things as I do, I'm sure, like, oh, those people on food stamps, they're just lazy. Those welfare recipients, on and on year after year, why don't they get a job? Those people out on the street, after all, there's a health issue there, and they're a nuisance. We have to get the police to do something about them and get them out of our way. And those guys down in front of Home Depot, everybody knows they're illegal. They're a burden on the tax-paying community. They should be evicted. But you who sit in the pews of a Catholic church, particularly this one, week after week, and listen to the gospel, you know that there is one thing that has to be said about the poor. God is very fond of them. I do not want to idealize the poor or suggest that they are not sinners like the rest of us. But I do find among them a high incidence of people who are humble and meek and willing to serve, and more than anything else, have a deep faith and confidence in God alone. They've learned from the difficulties of life there is no one else upon whom they are to depend, and I must become like them, have their spirit, if I am to get into the kingdom. I am not an example to you of gospel living. I drove over here in a Honda Pilot. I broke my molar last week. Went to the dentist, took it out, was going to make a replacement, and it'll all be covered by my archdiocesan insurance. I've had years and years of education and opportunities. The living room that I have at the rectory is larger than the entire living space of that young family you saw in the video. They have 3 boys. We could hardly fit the cameras and the lighting in. We had to turn the little living room table, and the living room is also a bedroom and the kitchen. The first room is all 3 rooms combined, and then the parents have a bed and a small room next to it. Could fit in my living room. Last fall, I was preparing from the Gospel of Luke, a scripture class, and at one point, I started to kind of tremble. And I looked out the window, and I remember saying to myself, Tim, you are not going to get into the kingdom of heaven. You are too worldly. You don't depend on God all the time. And I have to go back to the poor to learn the path. You don't have to come to South Central Los Angeles to find the poor. You have the poor right here, you know that. All your sick people, all the people who are in your convalescent homes, all the people who are brokenhearted and poor, they're right here. There are other poor who come into your neighborhoods. You know them too. They mow your lawns. They bus your tables at your best restaurants. They wash your car at the car wash. Many people in our neighborhoods take their bicycles to one of the more than 100 sewing factories within the boundaries of the parish. Others get on buses and they go out to other parts of the city to clean homes, to nanny children, or to take care of our parents when they are sick and towards the end of their lives, incapable of taking care of themselves. The treasure, the hidden treasure, the light that they shine on us comes when you get to know them, and all the stereotypes break down. Hector, your gardener, you would never let people talk in those stereotypes about him. Not Hector. Oh, Hector's not like that. He's not lazy. Before I left to come here, on Friday night, I finished exposition of the Blessed Sacrament. It was First Friday. It goes on all day until 10 o'clock at night. And I waited for the people. There's a few teenagers, mostly middle-aged and older people, who come to the adoration, stay till the end. And I waited out in the vestibule for them. I had on a new jacket that my family had gotten me for Christmas, and I felt about as fashionable as I can feel. And they gathered in the vestibule, and I looked around, and I saw these kind of threadbare, tattered sweaters and some beanies. It was cold that night, and they were standing around. And I said to them, tomorrow night, I go to Holy Family. I don't want to go without your blessing. So would you please give me a blessing? I knelt down, and they gathered around me and started to put their hands out. And one lady in the front said to me, but Father, who are we to give you a blessing? I stood right up, and I looked at all of them, and I said, who are you? Well, you may not know it, but you're the owners of the kingdom of heaven, and I'm not going to get in without you. It's all about who you know. You and I have to make friends with the poor to get into the kingdom. So I bring that blessing to you, their love, their deep gratitude, along with my own admiration for the parish you are and have become. Many blessings on you, your good Clem, Cambry, and all your staff, and to all of you, thank you very much.